Hey guys, this is Mizzy here from Sweet Feather Studio, which is a brand new YouTube channel and website dedicated to all things crafty. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel to stay in the loop with future content. This first video here is going to be an entire overview of Cricut's design space for the total newbie. If you are not a total newbie, don't worry, there's still going to be plenty of in-depth videos on this channel. If you haven't already, you will need to download the latest version of Cricut's Design Space. To do so, just go to Cricut.com and then up in the corner, click on Design. This will open up a brand new window which will prompt you to either download or open the latest version of Design Space. And then you will be prompted to either create an account or log in. Don't worry, your account is free unless you decide to go ahead with Cricut Access, which is a monthly subscription, but it is not necessary. So once you have downloaded the latest version of Design Space, you can open it up, log in, and then we're going to click New Project. We're not going to worry about anything else on this page for right now. After clicking New Project, you'll see that a canvas opened up. This is going to be a totally blank area to work with, and then there's little grids and everything to help you with lining things up if you need to do that. If you ever get out of your canvas and you need to return to it, just simply up here click on Canvas. You will notice that we have a lot of tools up here, but they are not highlighted, so we cannot select any of those right now. This is because we have nothing in our canvas that we are working with. Once we open up some artwork, we will have all of these available. But first, let's take a look on the side panel here and go over quickly what each of these do. First, we have a button up here that has 3 lines on it. If you select this, a bunch of different settings opens up, and this is for your account, for your machine calibration, things like that. But we don't have to worry about any of those today. Under that, we have the New button. This will open up a brand new canvas. The next button is the Templates button. If we were to select this, we can easily locate any sort of object that we are working with, and then it will open up in our canvas and we can place our artwork on it, which will give us a visual of what it will look like. For example, let's open up a very typical item, which would be, okay, here we go, a t-shirt. Design Space has now opened up a shirt template for us. We have a front, we have a back. Up the top here, we can choose between men's or women's cut, and then we can also choose the size. We have small to 2X, or if we select custom, we can now adjust the width and the height of the shirts. The point of these templates is to give you a visual of what your artwork will look like. So when you open up your artwork, you can size it, scale it, and put it wherever you wish on your shirt, and it will give you a good idea of what size to cut it out as. To delete your template, simply go over here to the Layers panel and select Delete. The button under Templates is Projects. When we select Projects, an entire new menu opens up. A project just refers to a bunch of artwork on a canvas that has been saved. If you have Cricut Access, you are able to open up any of these projects that have a little green tab with the A in it. If you do not have Cricut Access, don't worry, there's still some free projects available and you could always create your own. All of these projects here were created by Cricut and they are available for you to use with your Cricut Access. You can open up any of these projects and it will give you directions on how to make it. But of course, you could work on your projects. So up here on the drop-down menu where it says All Categories, select that and hit My Projects. This will bring up every single thing that you have saved to your account. Very similar to the Projects button, our next button is the Images. If we select Images, another menu appears and we can search through these as well, just like we can our projects. You can use the filters on the side here to narrow down your search, but if you happen to know exactly what you're looking for, you could type in keywords in the search box. Let's say, for example, we want to search for owls. We could type in owl and hit search, and then almost 400 images comes up for owl. Keep in mind that each image has a different licensing. So for example, I have Cricut Access, which means these will say subscribe down here, so I am free to use this image. If I did not have Cricut Access, there might be a price tag down here which will prompt me to pay when I go to make it. Okay, so this one here says free. So even if you do not have Cricut Access, you will still be able to use this type of image. So now let's practice opening up an image into our canvas. Let's select the owl. and we will hit Insert Image. You will see that it is really tiny up here in the corner. We can absolutely scale that and make it much larger. Now that we have a piece of artwork in our canvas, you will notice that all of these options are now available to use. We will start over here with the Operations menu. You can see here it says Basic Cut. So if we were to drop this down, we can change what we want to do with this owl. Do we want to make it a basic cut? Do we want to make it a wavy cut or perforated? We can also draw it with a pen, the foil tool. We can score it, deboss it, and engrave it. Lastly, we could also use the print and cut feature if we were to print this out instead of cut it. Our next option is the color box. We can absolutely change the color of our owl. We can make it whatever we wish. There's some preset colors here, but if you select Advanced, another menu drops down and you can figure out the exact shade of any color that you wish. Next, we have the Deselect option. This will deselect your item in your canvas, and then all these options will go away. So be sure to reselect it. Next is the Edit tool. We can cut, copy, or paste. Next, we have the Offset tool. This is a really handy tool that Cricut has recently added to their design space. This will give us a background layer to our image. So let's say we wanted to turn this into a sticker with the print and cut, but we want them to have a nice shape behind them. We can keep scaling and changing the background layer and hit Apply. And now we have a background outline of our owl. You will notice that it didn't cover the entire thing, but that's not a big deal. If we were to select the black layer and hit Contour, we can now select that little area in there that did not cover, and there we go. Now we have the entire background of the owl, and it is not attached yet either, so we can still move around and we can change the color. Like, let's say we don't want that black, we want it purple. You know, whatever. If all of this really confused you, don't worry, I'm going to have a very in-depth video on this another time. For now, we will delete the offset. The next button up here we have is Align. This will only appear if you have more than one object. So we would have to open up another object, like let's just open up a square, for example. Say we want to align these. We can highlight over both, and now the Align button has appeared. We can use the Align buttons to figure out exactly how we want to place our objects. If we were to hit Center, now the two objects have completely centered with each other. The next button that we have is the Arrange button. This is really important for layering. So what that means is basically right now the square is above the owl. So if we were to hit Send to Back, now it's behind the owl. Next we have the Flip tool. The Flip tool will flip it vertically or horizontally, so you can essentially make your artwork backwards and upside down. Next we have the Size tool. We can manually enter the width and the height. So let's say, for example, we know for a fact we want our owl to be no bigger than 10 inches. We could put in 10 inches there. And since our image is still locked, that means the other side will adjust automatically. If we were to unlock our image, we can then manually enter these both in, and the image can stretch or skew to meet those needs. So let's say, for example, we want a really squished looking owl. We can now put in, let's say 3 inches. If you do not want something like this to happen and you want to keep the exact ratio, always make sure that your image is locked. Next we have the Rotate tool. If we need to rotate our image at an exact angle, we can do so by entering it here. So let's say we know for a fact that we want him sideways. We could type in 90 degrees and he will turn perfectly sideways. You can also use the arrows to adjust it manually. Next we have the Position tool. You can see we have the X and the Y axis. This is related to the image in your canvas. So if we were to move him around, you can see our X and Y is changing. This is really useful when you're trying to line stuff up perfectly or get something like really squeezed together, like some letters or just pretty much any type of artwork that has to be really close together. You can fine tune it with the X and Y axis. So now we will delete our owl and we will move on to the next button. Underneath Images, we have the Text tool. When we select text, a box will appear and then we can manually enter in anything we'd want. For example, let's just type in something simple like hello. From here, we can alter our text in many different ways. For example, we can open up the font style and we could select any type of font that we wish. You can scroll through, use the filter options to narrow down your search. Every single font that's on your computer will be in here, as well as every font that's available in Cricut. After selecting the different font, you will see that it has changed in your canvas. Just to make things easier, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. We can also change the color of our text. Let's say we want this to be purple. We can also adjust the style of the text, whether we want it to be regular, bold, italic, or bold and italic. Over here we can adjust the font size. We can use the arrows to do it little by little, or we can delete the whole thing and type in our own. So let's say we want to make it 200. Letter spacing is exactly as it sounds. It adjusts the space in between the letters. So let's say you want to make it much wider. You can just play around with the arrows. If you want to make it really skinny, you can do that as well. The line spacing tool is basically if you have multiple lines in your text. Right now we don't have that. Alignment, same thing. That is for left alignment, center, or right, but this will only work if you have multiple lines of text. Next we have the curve tool. The curve tool is really fun to play with because you can actually round your text. You could even turn it this way. And it just makes for some really fun designs. The next tool is the advanced tool. We can select this and then hit ungroup letters. What this does is it now has made each letter an individual graphic, which is pretty cool because now we can adjust them however we wish, which means we can make some really cool funky custom fonts. For example, we'll just play around with it a little bit. Let's say we want to do something really cool, like not have it be straight and everything a different size, kind of just make it really fun. So now we have a really funny looking word hello, but this is actually really cool to play around with and just get to learn it a little bit. We will go more in depth into the text tool later, but for now we will delete this and move on. Underneath the text tool, we have the shapes tool. When we select shapes, a menu will appear with a lot of different types of shapes. When you select a shape, it will appear in your canvas. Now, although these look very simplistic, there's a lot of really neat things that you can do with these, but we're going to go into depth with that in another video. For now, I just want to give you a really quick example of some cool things that you could do with the shapes, so I'm going to open up a couple more circles. I am going to unlock these circles and stretch and skew them a little bit. Okay, so now we have a big blob of really weird looking circles. If we were to select all of them and hit the weld tool, which we will also cover that in another video, now we have one solid shape that has a really cool different perimeter than a regular circle. If we were to change the color, let's make it gray. Now we have sort of like a cloud shape, which is pretty neat. We can unlock this as well and stretch and skew it. We can duplicate it to have a bunch. We could basically make different shapes using the basic shapes in the shapes menu. But again, we will discuss that in further detail another time. For now, let's move on to the last button, which is the upload button. When you select the upload button, it will bring you to a new menu where you can either upload an image or you can upload a pattern fill. For the sake of simplicity, we will not be discussing pattern fill today. We will only be discussing the images. Cricut's Design Space will open up a JPEG, a GIF, a PNG, a BMP, an SVG, or a DXF. These files are all very different, so it's important to know which ones to upload for what project. For example, if you were going to be working with print and cut, you would want either a JPEG or a PNG because those will give you the best results for printing. If you plan on just cutting an image out, your best bet is an SVG. SVG is the most common and most important file type for Cricut's Design Space. So of course, by all means, if you have a pure SVG file, definitely use that. All of your most recent uploads will be located down here. You can always hit View All, and then it will open up every single image that you've ever uploaded. If you would like to upload a new image, select Upload Image. Now you could either browse or drag and drop a file here. And then we will locate an image that we can upload into our design space. I am going to choose to upload the Uncle Shark SVG. You will notice that SVG files will always have some sort of a symbol like your web browser. They will not be an actual display image such as these. Since this is a pure SVG file, we do not need to save it as anything other than a cut image. Now if we were to upload a photo, we would have two different options here. So let's go back and do that. We're going to hit Replace Image, go to Browse, and we will upload an actual photograph. So now we've uploaded a photograph into Design Space. We have to let it know if it is simple, moderately complex, or really complex. Since this is a photograph that has all sorts of different colors, we will hit complex. Next, it will ask you if you want to select and erase any part of the background. Since we do not have anything in the background that we would like to deselect, we're just going to hit continue. Now we have a choice between saving as a cut image or a print then cut image. If we were to save it as a cut image, it would only save the perimeter of our image. It will not save any data on the inside. So be sure whenever you are working with an actual photograph that you plan on printing, you want to select the print then cut image selection. Now we can hit upload, and then it will take you back to your upload screen and it will show here as the most recent upload. Now we have a wonderful photograph that we can work with. We could definitely scale it down to make it much smaller. And now you are able to use this for whatever project you are working on. If you have any further questions on details of uploading or cleaning up an image, don't worry, that's going to be in a future video. But for now, since we have an image in our canvas that we wish to save to work on later, we're going to come up here to the Save button. We're going to give our canvas a title, so let's name it Grandma Photo and hit Save. So now when we come over here to the Projects button that we discussed earlier, we can select the My Projects button from the drop-down menu, and then the Grandma Photo will appear as the first one. Anytime that you need to do anything with your project, you could select these three buttons here, and it will give you an option to delete, remove offline copy, edit collections, or edit project details. If you wish to simply open your project, just double click it. Now a menu comes up where you can either customize or make it. Since we have not set it up yet to be made, we're going to hit customize, and then it will open it right back up. Alright guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. I know that this was a quick overview of some of the tools in Design Space. I do plan on doing more in-depth videos. If I were to do that now, this video would be like 2 hours long, so we're not going to do that today. Another thing I know we didn't discuss really was the panels, but that's okay. That's not really important right now. We're going to discuss that another time as well. So please, I ask that you like and subscribe to support this new channel, as well as to stay in the loop with future content.